right, we are talking about 4.7, which says solving proportions. So our I can statement is just going to be, I can solve a proportion. So remember, we talked about setting up proportions, and it was when we had two ratios that were equivalent. So basically, we have two ratios that are equal to each other. But now we have to solve the proportion. So we're going to have a value that we don't know, like part of our ratio is going to be a variable. So it's going to be a value that we don't know yet. But we know since it's a proportion that they're going to be equal to each other. So what we do is we can set them equal to each other and then solve for the variable. So the first step, it says solve for x, so we're solving for a variable, so that the ratios are proportional, which just means that they're equal. So basically, the first step is we want to put the ratios into their fraction form. Remember that the first number goes on top. So I'm going to have 7 over 13. And then I have, it's equal, so I'm going to do equal to 21 over x. So that's our first step, just put it into fraction form. We do the number that we see first on top. It's proportional, so we set it equal to the other one, and we get 21 over x. Then the next step is to cross multiply. Remember when we cross multiply, we do the top and the bottom, and the top and the bottom. So we will have 7 times x equals, and 21 times 13 equals. When we do 7 times x, remember that that has a little invisible 1 there. 7 times 1 is just 7, so this is just 7x. And then we have to do 13 times 21. When we do that, we get 273. So now we have 7x equals 273 because they're equal to each other. Our last step is to solve for the variable. So I'm trying to get x by itself. Remember, when I have a variable right next to a number, that means multiply. So I have to do the opposite, and I have to divide by 7. So I divide by 7 on both sides, and I should get x equals 39. That's my answer. So when I'm solving for a proportion, I'm solving for x. So that's my answer is x equals 39. Sometimes you'll see it with a different variable. These are already in fraction form, so we can go ahead and cross multiply. So 3 and 24 and 9 and y. 3 times 24, 9 times y. So 9 times y is going to be 9y. And 3 times 24, remember you can always plug these in your calculator. You should get 72. So you have 9y equals 72. Remember, when you have a number right next to a variable, those are being multiplied. We have to do the opposite and divide. So we divide both sides by 9. And we get y equals 72 divided by 9 is 8. So y equals 8. This time we have 1/5 to 2 and n to 6. So we do need to put this as a fraction. So we'll do 1/5 over 2 equals n over 6. Cross multiply. So I have 1/5 times 6 and 2 times n. 2 times n is just going to give me 2n. I have 1/5 times 6. Sometimes we see that and we're like, I can't multiply a fraction by a whole number. So that means we have to change this whole number into a fraction. In order to do that, we want to keep it the same. So we just put a 1 under it, because anything divided by 1 is just itself. And then we just multiply across. So 1 times 6 is 6, and 5 times 1 is 5. So now you have 2n equals 6 over 5. And you're not done yet, because you need to get the n by itself. Remember, when they're right next to each other, it's multiplied, so you need to divide. So now you have n equals, and you have 6 over 5 divided by 2. Remember, that's like 6 over 5 divided by 2. We want to change that into a fraction, so we put a 1 under it. Remember, when we divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So leave, change, flip. 6/5 times 1/2. And you multiply across, and you get 6 over 10. So you have n equals 6 over 10. Can we simplify 6 over 10? Yes, we can, because they are both even. So we can divide both of them by 2. So we should get 3 over 5 as our final answer. So there's all of the notes. Make sure you have all of that written down. And that is for 4.7.